Hey guys, it's James with Turo Tales. Welcome. Let me type some stuff up here, and we'll go over the changes, the recent updates from Turo, and some of the fees. We'll go through those fees today. We'll also talk about just some impressions, takeaways from the Facebook Live feed that Turo just put on the group Turo Tales. If you're not a member of the Turo Tales group, go ahead and look for it. Add yourself to it. It's the official Turo Tales, Turo's official one for hosts. I think you just need a picture or link to your profile, and they'll get you on there. But I'm just gonna look up here, and so I have the fees here. And we'll pull those up so you guys can see them and see how the fees and fines work for that. I got a whole list of notes, so we'll talk through a few of these notes and see how it goes. Thanks for coming. So Turo today just had a live stream, and in it they pushed out two new major changes. So the first major change involved fees to hosts that are now getting charged fees that they weren't getting in the past. The second major change had to do with their new automatic pricing algorithm. So real quick, for those that don't know, the algorithm is garbage. If you are on Turo and you are using the algorithm, then it's probably not been going great for you. Generally, the best strategy for getting good bookings is to go into Turo and fix them yourselves. So whatever information you're getting from the automatic pricing is hot garbage. You can go ahead and interact by leaving comments if you're able to do so. I'll just post something here, and then I'll answer them as they come through. But I just want to talk. We'll start with the new automatic pricing. So the new automatic pricing, the algorithm, is going to roll out in 2 weeks. So that gives us right after the 4th of July weekend, around the 14th of July or so. We should have these new pricing algorithms in it. Now, there are some good things. This is an issue that Turo's had for a while. I think that they think it's a bigger issue than it is. We don't use the algorithm at all. We never have. We did for a few weeks, but it was hot garbage. So the new algorithm is going to have, it's better, right? Whatever better algorithm means, that has more control over it. So you can choose, one of the faults with the old system is you couldn't choose your own personal weekly discounts on the old one. It was 100% Turo or none. And so I like that they've done that. Also, it's not mandatory. There were some talks amongst some other hosts that this was going to become a mandatory thing to combat people with less nice cars, listing them for higher prices. That's not the case. So that's good to know that you're able to have that information and looking at it. One of the things that is factored into the price that wasn't previously is year, make, and model are now factored into pricing. And that's huge. Previous, they would just kind of look at a car, a Ford Mustang, and they would price that Ford Mustang based on it being a Ford Mustang, not it being a GT, right? Not it being a 5.0 or just a base entry model standard, leather seats, whatever. And so a 2012 might be given the same price as a 2016. So that is going in there. That should help. I think that is an important update for a lot of, especially new hosts that are getting on here and trying to make it happen. They want to share more of this data in the future. Future being the key term, not now. So we are getting no extra data now on markets and everything. It's also interesting that this algorithm's automatic pricing is only getting pushed out to certain areas. So what that kind of means is that if you live in a big city where Turo is prevalent, you're probably going to have it. If you live in El Paso, Texas, it ain't happening. So, and I don't know which the specific markets are, but I would wager to guess that all of the markets are markets that currently have free professional photography already there. So if you can go on to Turo and look up an ad, free professional photography, your market's probably getting it. If your market doesn't have that feature, it's probably not going to be getting this new algorithm. But for those of you that do live in markets where this is going to be impacted, I do think it's cool that that it's not based on city, it's not based on zip code. It's an algorithm based on the data. So it could be based on a number of factors, but, and I quote, "We let the data tell us." So kind of interesting that that they do that. What that means, I think it means kind of machine learning. So they don't know exactly 100% with the algorithm what it's going to do. But if there's a market inside of a submarket, the example was used of San Francisco, of this neighborhood versus this neighborhood, they're still in the same zip code, but they could be wildly different. So the new algorithm is supposed to take into account those issues. And I think the reason that it's only being rolled out to a few different areas, I think, is because it's going to take a lot of manpower to operate it. So I'd expect those big cities, like we mentioned before, the San Franciscos, the Seattles, the Bostons, the Chicagos, New York's not able, but those bigger cities are going to happen. Also, we went into the fees. So this is new. So historically, Turo really only charged fees to guests, but now they have added a host fees and fines. And I'm going to just link this here in the chat. And if you guys are here, just give me a hello. I can't really tell if anyone's watching, but I think there is someone here. So there's a link to the actual fees and fines page, and these are new. I'll just run through them. If you have a violation of a maintenance policy, that's $100. Violation of the gray market policy, it's $150 with an additional you're going to lose all the revenue for that action. If the host cancels less than 24 hours before the trip start, it's a flat $50 fee. If it's more than 24 hours before the trip start, it's $25 fee. If the host does not show up, the vehicle's not there, flat $150 fee, no admin fee. And then they added the kind of the two big ones are material misrepresentation, and I'll read what that means. And then the other one is a vehicle misrepresentation. And the first one, material misrepresentation, it says falsified or altered documentation, unrepaired prior damage claims, also known as UPDs, and invalid reimbursements. So the way I see that happening is, for example, we just had a claim that got finished on our Ford Escape. Turo paid us over $1,000 to get that clean. Now, to get that fixed. Now, they were going to pay me anyway, right? And I did not have to show that it got fixed because they had already paid me the initial reimbursement. At that point, I could have fixed it myself, possibly. We'll get to that. But if in the future they see that there's another claim and that damage that's already been reported hasn't been fixed, then it's a minimum of $50. It could be much more than that. Also, there's a $200 roadside fee if a tow truck is dispatched, and that includes maintenance policy, material misrepresentation, or vehicle misrepresentation. So for some of these fees, $300 easy that you could lose. Plus, I mean, they're going to always reserve the right to it says Turo reserves the right to charge the cost of lost revenue and additional fines up to $5,500 US and remove the host and or vehicle from the marketplace. So that's crazy. Another disclosure: providing an unsafe vehicle, a vehicle that breaks down, or a vehicle that is not as advertised will result in a deduction of all host earnings for the associated trip, a potential fee for roadside services rendered, and the above mentioned fines. So these fines I just read you, the actual numbers, those are the minimums, and it could be a lot more than that. Here's why this shouldn't. Oh, hey guys. Here's why this shouldn't really worry most owners, right? The material misrepresentation or incorrect vehicle. What does it say? Incorrect vehicle misrepresentation really is only occurring to a few individuals, and they're the ones that are listing their 2006 Mustang as a 2016 Mustang, right? And then the guest gets there, they need the car, they might take it out, able to charge more for the nicer model, or maybe the trim package that that you selected is one of the higher trims, an ATS-V versus just a regular ATS. So those are kind of the differences. And really all you have to do is that's just keeping hosts honest. I'm all for that. That's really simple. If you're lying, you're getting fined. Don't lie, you won't be fined. So that's pretty easy. The other thing that I thought was not a big deal was with material misrepresentation. So if they're going to pay you to have a claim, then get your claim fixed, right? Get your vehicle fixed. It's your asset. You're working with it. Don't just take that money and say, "Ha, got them." Insurance, it's just a little small ding in the front. No big deal. Those dings add up. So when you get paid from Turo, just use the money and improve your vehicle, right? Not a big deal. There was some concern though about some of these fees, particularly with ones that that affected tows, right? Because it's a $200 roadside fee if they have to dispatch a tow truck. One that we had that happened recently was a fee that that involved a battery. Okay, so luckily this was with our Swiss team that came for the rocket competition. They came here and competed in the rocket Spaceport America Cup. So they were in a different city, hour away, and they were often going out into the middle of the desert to go launch these rockets. And they had one of the vehicles, or 2005 Ford Taurus, had the battery wasn't starting. It would start, but it wouldn't start on the first go. And so this concerned Paulina, our renter, a lot, because she's going out to the middle of the desert in a 2005 Ford Taurus with a lot of miles on it, wondering like, hey, is this going to work? I don't know. So she had taken it to AutoZone or somewhere and asked them, hey, can you check the battery for free? They did check it, and she contacted me and said, hey, the battery is bad. They need a new battery. Now, what could have happened if the car hadn't started is Turo could have called them. Oh, it's what's up, dog? Turo could have called them and said, hey, we're dispatching a tow truck to your location immediately, and I'm getting charged for that $200 for that tow. Plus, it could have been safety issues. They could have delisted my car. It could have been a big deal. It wasn't because we had a good relationship with that host, but it was just luck of the draw that it wasn't a host that would have called something like that. Now, here's where I would have been covered, because literally 2 days prior to her picking up that vehicle, I had taken it in to the dealership to get an oil change. And guess what that oil change comes with is a 40-point inspection. They checked the battery. So I actually had a piece of paper, and I sent her that showing, just because I felt bad, showing that, hey, we took it to get it checked, and here's some documentation from the dealership saying battery is good, a week before her trip, or a few days before her trip started. So in that instance, we would have been covered. But if we had planned on taking it in afterwards, then it could have been been an issue. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to just pause the broadcast and say Michael Oates is in the house. And if Steve, what's up, man? Hey, Michael Oates, that you guys don't know, he's the goal. Okay, he's what I want to be when I grow up. Michael Oates is the man. It's good to have him here. I appreciate his. I'm getting, look at that. I get like emotional talking about Michael Oates. He's an inspiration, guys. I won't say any numbers, but more than me, a lot. So anyway, and safety inspections are important, and that $40 that you're saving by doing your own oil change, not even 40, $25 that you're saving by going on and doing an oil change yourself, not worth it in my opinion. And now that Turo came out with this new live stream, that they backed it up. So one of the questions that got asked was, what if you're a mechanic, or you're mechanically inclined, you looked at YouTube and you know how to change your oil or something. which I am fairly mechanically inclined, and I've fixed many of the issues on our vehicle. But when it comes down to Turo, they're not going to accept you doing it. Steve, what's up, man? Welcome from El Paso. So you will have to have some kind of documentation from an auto body shop, and the question was asked, well, can you send us to one? Can you send us to, a Meineke or something and have them be the go-to? And they said that they didn't want to do that because, first of all, they're not everywhere, and then it started getting into some legal issues about persuading or suggestion. They said some legal term, but get your oil changed at a reputable dealership and have them do that inspection. That's too easy. It's not a big deal. Just take them down to the dealership is expensive. It's cheap. There's other cheaper places to get, but it's really hard to argue with somebody when they say that they have a piece of paper, they hold it up and they show you, hey, I got this done at the dealership a week ago. Do not tell me that I'm not taking care of my vehicle. That's going to give you some protection and some peace of mind that otherwise you won't have. All right, so look through these notes here. This new policy, they said, is to hold hosts to high standards. It's based on guest behavior for a safe and reliable platform. So a lot of times, what will happen is when you rent a car for the first time on Turo, that first time needs to be a good experience. And what they found is that those who rent for the first time and have a crappy car or the car breaks down, they are not going to rent from Turo again, period. Maybe they get desperate, but realistically, they're losing all those the first time renters. So that first experience, we as hosts need to make sure we're doing our best to provide a quality experience for them. So it's really to hold all hosts accountable so that you are putting out a good product, and then that is influeing the platform forever. I'm going to run through the rest of these. I don't want to keep this a long video. In cases of an issue, Turo will contact the guest first. They're not going to call you and say, hey man, your car broke down in such and such a place. Can you go get it? That's not how they roll. As soon as they take the car, something happens, and Turo and the customer contacts Turo, they're going to go off of what they said. So you need to just be prepared to back yourself up with proof that you are taking care of that vehicle. And I think the easiest way to do that is just take it into the dealership. Require safety inspections. So they are going to require safety inspections to get your vehicle backlisted. So after there's been an incident, you will have to take your vehicle in. You will have to get it inspected before you can put it back on the platform. So it will be delisted for that period of time. And that will not be reimbursable. So they did talk about... we cannot reimburse for safety checks and inspections. And there's actually a new inspection form. I didn't see it listed on the fees and forms page, but you guys can go ahead and look on there. I'll find the description. I'll link it onto one of my videos so you guys can actually have that inspection form to know if the vehicle is good when you take it into that safety, to that body shop to get it safety inspected. Cleaning, just keep your cars clean on a case-by-case basis. They can make charges to owners, but again, it'll be a case-by-case basis. If you've gotten a report before, you're probably more likely to get charged the second time than the first time. Nails in the tire will always be on the guest. If your guest runs over a tire, if they leave the battery on, the battery doesn't, or the door open, or the lights on, and the battery doesn't start, then that's going to be on them, not on you. Always, always, always. The question was asked, what about waivers for the host? Will they be issued? For example, I have almost 200 trips. So in those 200 trips, I have had 0 incidents. No one has ever called Turo and had an issue with me. I do have 2 4-star ratings. Oh man, they got me. I hate those 4-star. One of them didn't say anything. They just left 4 stars. Had one lone tear falling down my face that I wiped up with the $200 reservation they gave me. But in my instance, they're probably going to give the owner the benefit of the doubt as opposed to a guest who may have had previous claims in the past or something like that. So having a good track record is going to help you out in the future. going forward. And just because you have one incident doesn't mean that they're going to charge you, without hearing both sides of the story. The term that they kept using time and time again was it'll be a case by case basis. And we actually spoke to the girl, the lady who is in charge of all of those. She's also in charge of training all the new people, the staff for Turo. And she said that currently she looks at them every single time on a case by case basis to see if the host deserves to have a fee or not. So ultimately, it's her decision on all those things. Speaking of training new people, the growth for Turo has been immense. So because of the growth for Turo, then they've had to train more people, and they've had a hard time training those people because it's really hard to put out a good quality product after you need the product. So those of you that have had people that have been going on and have you've called support and you're like, why is this idiot not know what's going on? That's a little bit different than because they just the quality control and pushing out new people. So they are trying to get that fixed. Finally, we'll just end on this. As somebody that has a lot of kind of lower priced vehicles, I am always aware that at any time they could kick those cars off. We do have a 2005 Ford Taurus that is grandfathered in. It's been on the platform since 2013, hasn't had any issues at all, barring that one battery issue that I just talked to you about. But it also has over 130,000 miles. So I'm ready for that to happen. I've also bought cars that are kind of in front of that, at the end of that life cycle that they're allowing, kind of in that window, expecting them to get kicked off at some point. So when I heard them say the words higher vehicle quality, they said that a few different times. That could be something down the road. At any time, Turo reserves the right to change the years. So if you're expecting to have your hoopty, 12-year-old car on the road, 13, 14, 15-year-old car on the road forever, it's probably not going to happen. So at some point, know when to cut your losses, know when to upgrade and to get something a little bit more reliable, a little bit better, that's going to rent good. And the shooter game, those cheap cars that you got, those are fantastic. But just be aware that at any time those could come out, be taken away from you. So just have that in the back of your mind. I don't think it means you have to buy 2018 vehicles, but it might mean stop buying 2006s or trying to get in before the end of the date. So that's my impressions. Anyone else, leave a comment if you had any other questions regarding the new fees. Go ahead and hit up the link that I sent you out so you can see the actual policies. We got a lot of videos coming up. May earnings are coming, baby. They're coming. And so it's a record month for us. Every month has been a record month for us. May is no exception. Really the question, or June earnings are coming out. So June is no exception. The real question is, can we beat July with our June earnings? Can we beat? Yeah, you got it. Other than that, just a word of advice. I had an email from a gentleman last night regarding terms of service. Can I go over some things I've learned on that? I will make a video on that, but really terms of service change all the time. So if you are relying on knowledge that you knew 6 months ago when you started, that's not going to work. You need to get in there. We have requested time and time again from Turo, hey guys, can you please give us a changes section? This is what's new to the terms of service. They are doing better, but it's not 100%. We're still finding things that get changed without any kind of say so, or the language gets updated, or they roll out into a new country. And so because they're in the new country, they change wordings here or there that could have implications on your business. So in the end, this is a business. You are in charge of your business. You want to make money at this business, then be professional. Take the time to read through the terms of service, review things, and just see if there's any changes that come up. I'm James. Thanks for watching. Appreciate the comments. Sorry this went so long. I appreciate you guys' support for what we're doing. Obviously, we don't get paid for this. I don't have a YouTube channel I'm getting enough subscribers to get paid or anything. We do this out of love and a concern. I wish I had something like this when I first started out, and I definitely benefited from the Simon's experience. from a lot of the other people that already had videos out there, and I know that I'm missing their names right now. I can think of them in my brain, but I benefited a lot from looking at these YouTube videos. We've tried to be as transparent as possible as we do this. We got our LLC set up. I'll go over that video as well. And if you guys need anything, leave them in the comments below. Peace. Yes, end.